All right, for our last card, we're going to take one of our jelly prints and we are going to cut it up with a die cut and create an embellishment for a card. Now in this case, we also used a jelly print for the background. You could use plain paper or whatnot. You could use plain paper and then use a whole bunch of these bugs that are cut out of jelly prints. The sky's the limit, but some of the prints that you're going to create are not necessarily going to be ones that are great for backgrounds, but perfect for die cutting and creating embellishments that way. So the very first step is I'm going to glue my background piece to the card and weigh that down so that that has time to glue down while we make our embellishment. Now before I do that, I'm going to take the dark green ink pad that we've been using, and I'm just going to ink around my paper here just to give it a bit of a frame. You certainly don't have to, but I just find that it frames it a little bit. It adds a little bit more of that green color to it, and I just like the look of it. So I'm going to actually put it up here to dry. Let's glue it. All right, so we're gonna leave that to dry, and now let's die cut our bird pieces. So I'm going to do, just like this one here, I'm gonna do 2 of them in a solid color and 1 of them in the print. If I did it all in the print, you probably wouldn't see all the different pieces, and I think this way brings out some of the interest of the bird. So I'm going to cut this in half and use that for my solid pieces, and then I'm going to choose which part I want for my bird. Now it's going to be at the bottom here, so I'm going to choose some of the lighter colors. But I didn't want it super light. There, die cutting it exactly the same way as the whale. Make sure your blade is face up, put your paper over top. If you can see any part of the die outside of that paper, then it is not lined up properly. And it cuts it almost like magic. And we got the one piece there. Let's pop the other bits out. Now these bird die cuts have little bits that come out of them. Now that the ones have come out on the wings, I'm gonna take them all out. There was some on the bird here that if they didn't come out of the wings, I was thinking about leaving them, but that's okay. So what's gonna happen then is you're gonna see some of that other color coming through it. There we go. Now before we put the layers together, I'm gonna use some foundry wax to put the silver around the edges. And what this is, it's a new product that's just come out. It is a silver liquid wax, and it comes in 4 different colors. It comes in gold, copper, and then this one here, which is kind of a different color gold. So it's a liquid wax that you can put around the edges. There we go. And then you use your heat gun to bring the leafing out of it. So it's a silver, or it's a leafing wax, no matter what color you use. I keep saying silver, that's because this is the one I'm using for this. It dries super quick, so I have to be careful and be quick when I'm doing this. I'm just putting it around the edges and on the feet and beak of the bird. And I would tend to be a little bit more careful than that and not get, I like getting some blobs around the edges, but that was a bit much, and same with that one, that was a bit much. Now, like I said, it dries very quickly. While that's drying, I'm gonna clean this up. So it just needs some isopropyl alcohol. Spritz it on, and then use a cloth or a wipe. I'm just gonna use a dried up wipe from yesterday, and it cleans up that easily. So I'm going to take my heat gun out. I'm going to hold the bird or the pieces down with my die pick so that they don't float away. And just like when you're embossing, you see it go from kind of like a matte to a really shiny leafing color. This is one of those products, when you have it, you start putting it on everything. All right, I'm just gonna pop those up here to cool down for a minute. And it really doesn't take very long. But what I'm going to do is do my sentiment while we're waiting. So this is quite long for a card, so I'm going to be cutting it up. And this one, because it's as long as it is, I'm going to cut it up in 3. And I use this little bit here to mat it. And when you're working on pieces this small, it's hard to get them all exactly perfect, but I'm going to try to get them as close as possible to the same size as each other. So glue it down and then trim it. I'm going to try to get my trimmer over top of there so you can see. Now when I'm doing it, I line the edges of that white die cut with my ruler, and that's how I get it straight. Now I've gotten a little bit of silver on my hand, so I'm transferring it over there. You want to be a little bit more careful not to do that. And then we're going to do the same thing for the other two here. And one last one. All right, so our sentiment is ready. Let's glue our die cut together. So for this one, it's as simple as layering all the pieces up. So this bird here is the lowest part. And then we add the wing. And really I could put it together on top of the card as well. And just like the card base, I would typically put it on, oh, I see that it shifted when I put my block on there. I would typically put my die cut on my card. For this one anyways, just because of the different pieces, they tend to kind of curl up a little bit with the liquid glue. So I'm gonna put my sentiment down, and then I'm gonna put my block on it to hold it all down to dry. And obviously, whatever sentiment you have will work. And it doesn't necessarily have to be in several different parts, but I do like when some cards have sentiments split down in several different parts. So there you go. I'm going to let that sit there held down to dry. And now you know 4 different card ways that you can use to use up some of your gel prints. Because what's the point in making these prints if we can't create with them?